That is very true.
And it is the farms that need it,
yeah.
and the gardens. And as Ben mentioned there, the hot weather continuing, so lots of people concerned about water in the garden and also plants. It's going to be the sunniest spring period since records began, apparently.
The warm, dry spell has coincided with lockdown, of course, and that's meant that we're all using more water than usual. We're now being asked to think carefully about how we use water to try and avoid a shortage. It is particularly difficult at the moment for farmers like Ollie Harrison on Merseyside.
It's the 29th of May. I'm stood in a field that should be green with sweet corn or maize, whichever you want to call it, and we're just basically suffering a drought. It's been the last 3 months we've had well below average rainfall. I've got some bottles here to show you. So this is how much rainfall we had in 2018, which we all remember as being a drought in March, April and May. And this is how much we've had now in the last 3 months. As you can see, only a third of what we had in 2018. So the drought really has started early this year. With the long-range weather forecast now for the next sort of 3-4 weeks into June, there's no significant rainfall unless we're lucky and catch a thunderstorm. But we all know how quickly they can come and go, and how scattered they can be. And if the weather's still this temperature, the water's just evaporates straight away. So this year could be a disastrous year really for farming, with well, especially in the UK, if this good weather continues.
Well, Ollie is with us now live from one of the fields on his farm. And we can also speak to Kes Jaskowiak from Scottish Water. Ollie, I'm going to come to you first of all because I can see, what time is it now? It's 24 minutes past 8 in the morning. Blazing sunshine where you are. And as we've just heard, beautiful blue skies. What in practical terms does this mean for you?
Well, already we've lost significant chunks of yield. Just if it started raining tomorrow and carried on through June, we've probably lost, I don't know, a third, if not half, of the potential of the crops. And the crops didn't have a lot of potential anyway because it was so wet, sort of from last June till the beginning of this March. All the crops we've got in the ground now are just what we call spring crops. So we sown them after the bad weather of the winter this spring, and they have such a short growing season that that this is crucial for them. You know, that there's a saying within farming that a wet and windy May fill the barns with corn and hay. Well, it's just been still, it's been dry, it's been scorching. It's, this field behind me should be green now, but it's just bare soil that was drilled about a month ago, and it's just not growing basically.
So, Kes at Scottish Water, when you hear that there from Ollie, clearly very dry, the conditions are forecast to stay dry for quite a while. What does that mean from your point of view? How do you make sure that you can guarantee water supplies?
Well, we had a reasonably wet winter, so our storage supplies are in a good position across the country. The challenges that we're faced with is this sunny weather. Customers are already using large volumes of water as they stay at home. And in recent weeks, with the warm weather, we've seen that jump by up to 30%. And examples of that, we're filling the equivalent of 60 additional Olympic pools every day just to supply our customers, and that's given us significant challenges.
Why is there extra demand? Because does it not just change? I mean, we're not using it in the office perhaps, so we're using more at home, but does that not balance out?
In general terms, but over the last few weeks with the warm weather, we see an increase in garden use in particular. So it's people leaving sprinklers on during the night, it's pressure washing driveways, it's paddling pools, and all these cause significant strain on the network throughout the day that we have to work hard to make sure we can shift the water quick enough to meet the customer's demand.
And Ollie, what are your options now? Planning ahead, what can you do to try and mitigate the situation that you're in?
Well, other than pray, not a great deal. I mean, I'm an arable farmer, so I grow wheat, barley, beans, oilseed rape and things like that. And they're quite low value per acre, so we can't irrigate them. The cost is just not prohibitive to do that. Plus, there's not enough water in the streams and the rivers around us anyway. I mean, some crops, we might take a decision not to harvest them because they're not worth the manpower and the diesel. I'm hoping it won't get to that. I mean, the last time we had a dry spell like this was 2018, but it was only a month of dry weather that kind of pinched us then. And one field of beans, we actually harvested less than we'd sown into the ground in the March of that year. But, they say never work with children and animals. Well, Mother Nature can be cruel as well.
And Kez, I mean, we're not talking about hosepipe bans yet, but what should people be thinking about? How can they save a little bit of water here and there? Because one would assume it all adds up, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And I mean, every water company across the UK has great websites with advice on saving water wisely. It's a precious resource for us and for the farmers. But the main thing, my guidance would be to take consideration of the water that's been used in the gardens over this period of time, and try and minimise that. The grass in your garden is incredibly resilient. It will grow back, and please minimise that use so that we don't have a drought further into the year.
Ollie, we're just going to come back to you one last time. I know you're in a really terrible, desperate situation at the moment, but looking at where you are, it's just the most stunningly beautiful location. You showed us that glorious blue sky just a moment ago. Could you just share that with us one more time and talk to us a little bit about what we can see behind you and what's on your land?
Well, the field behind me, obviously you've got a nice blue sky. It looks incredible. It looks better when there's no planes in it. There's a bit of a myth that might have been causing the rain, actually. Now they've stopped flying. No, I mean, this field behind me should be full of sweet corn, like we call maize, really, but it's actually a variety you can eat. So it's something that I planted when the COVID-19 kind of thing kicked off, when the shops were bare. I thought, well, what can I plant with my equipment that we can harvest for local people or whatever? So that's what I've drilled, but unfortunately it just doesn't seem to be wanting to grow. But in the very far background, you can see a bit of green. There's a hedgerow and there's some potatoes there. They're struggling now. I mean, they've had the worst start, really. They went into dry soil. Then the late frost came, which scorched the leaves and burnt them off. So then they've just started growing again. But they're now just about to start sort of producing the baby potatoes on their tubers. But it's crucial now that they need moisture, and I just don't think we're going to get it if you look at the long range. I mean, we might get a couple of mil on Wednesday. Well, we generally need about 25 mil every 10 days. And I think in the last 8 weeks, we've only really had about 30 mil. You know, we are well down. We've had a third of the rainfall we had in the previous drought year of 2018 in the last 3 months. It's just not enough, really. I mean, I just sound like a farmer, always moaning about the weather, but it's just so cruel sometimes.
You're allowed.
Yeah, Ollie, you are a farmer. It's fine. You're allowed to do that. You have good reason. It is great to talk to you this morning. That's great to hear from Ollie and Kez there. So obviously, you know, we can see what's happening to Ollie in the bigger picture. Obviously, that's affecting him professionally, but also hearing from Kez Justkowiak there that we've got to be a little bit careful about how we use water at home at the moment.
Yeah, little things as well. Top up the paddling pool. Don't fill it up fresh every day, apparently one of the top tips as well. And don't worry about the lawn too much because